Okay, I'm done.
I felt like you wanted us to kind of.
I wasn't gonna join in.
I felt like we were supposed to join in.
No,
but...
I just wanted to be stupid because this is my last opportunity to do this on the Star Wars ones for right now. Because after this, we're going to be switching to the Mandalorian, so stay tuned for that.
Yes, we are not recording 7, 8, and 9 because I don't feel like you guys give a shit enough to put that much effort in.
There's some people who've said they'd like to see you do 7, 8, 9, but I think if you were to record like an opinion video, like after you watched each of them, like do an opinion video.
Well, we could do that at the beginning of the Mandalorian episodes,
if you want to.
Just kind of throw it in there. By the way, I watched this one, and so maybe you should pay attention to the intros sometimes.
Yeah. So
looking at you.
Someone.
Insert name here. So for those of you who have been tuning into these, it has been a hell of a journey from the very beginning when we watched Rogue One as a bit of a palate, an amuse-bouche, if you will, one of those little
appetizer.
A little appetizer for the main dish, and then we go into the first course, which is episodes 4 and 5, which are those dishes that you want more of, and you want more of, but the chef is just like, nah, y'all gotta have some bland shit next, and then they serve you up episodes 2 and 3.
Serve you boiled broccoli with no seasoning.
Yeah, well, no, except they put a little bit of cheese on the third one. Rightfully so. They put a little bit of cheese on the third one.
Yeah, your cheese dip.
To be fair, there was a lot of cheese in those, but it was too much cheese. So.
No. But
it was like the bad kind of cheese, if there is one.
Yeah, no. Well, there is a bad kind. I mean, what's that? Arugula that friggin' Chris Porter keeps talking about.
It's Havarti.
Havarti. Okay.
Havarti cheese is the hand job of cheeses. It's a bullshit, tasteless cheese. It needs to start sucking a cheese dick.
Before I lose this thought, I've been so hyped on Star Wars lately that Nick was putting batteries into that mic there and putting all the stuff back together, and all I could think of is man, I really want to go to Galaxy's Edge and throw a crystal in a lightsaber and get that thing put together.
If we ever make enough on Patreon to where
Wolf, you'll be really cool if you edit an actual lightsaber blade onto the end of
Renegade
that.
road trip? Well,
yeah,
no, I guess we'd fly.
Road trip, fly trip. Who cares? It's a road vlog. Let's just call it that.
I'm in. Then we could do something else that's cheaper for a honeymoon. So
there you go. Y'all can camp out at an MCR show or something like that. I don't know.
I've already told them if they don't propose at the MCR show, they have missed the perfect opportunity. I don't understand how you could pass up that opportunity.
I know. We get big enough to where Gerard Way actually comes on the podcast, and then Gerard Way says, "Quinn, someone needs to ask you a question." You turn around, there's Kinsey, and just in front of you.
I don't know. I don't think I'd want Gerard Way in my proposal unless Gerard Way is proposing to me.
Easy there. He's already married.
Yeah, well, I'm just that's why it's not going to happen. So maybe, but Kinsey, as far as they have this other better idea than this, I am challenging them and I trust them that it is. I told them if it's not as good as proposing at an MCR concert, they done fucked up though.
Okay.
I don't know what it is. My friend at work knows and is actually a really good friend and won't tell me. So
that's good.
But
you got a good friend there.
I was surprised. I was like, okay, I guess we can trust this person, and that's who I'm buying a washer and dryer off of. So we'll see.
Oh.
So
that's an adventure we're taking tomorrow.
We have watched 4, 5. I watched 1, and then we did 2, 3.
And now
we're going back to 6. It's been about a month since we finished 5.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably week 5 since we finished. And I need to make sure I remember what was going on. Because you know how terrible my memory can be.
Well, okay. You remember at the end of, during Empire Strikes Back, Han Solo gets frozen in carbonite. They take him away to be sold, or to be turned in for the bounty for Jabba the Hutt. And then Luke fought Vader. Mm-hmm. Vader won, cut Luke's hand off. Mm-hmm. Luke fell down the pit and managed to get outside of Cloud City.
Dropped onto the Millennium Falcon.
And then the Millennium Falcon came up, picked him up. They flew off. Luke got a new hand. And then they stared off into the galaxy. Or Luke and Leia were staring off into the galaxy as Lando and Chewie went off to find Han Solo. And that's pretty much where we ended off.
Okay.
It ended on a more somber note, but in all honesty, sometimes stories need to end on more somber notes because
Sometimes the good guys lose.
And there is a reason why we stopped at 5, did the prequels, and now we're coming back.
So basically what I remember is, like, I remember Luke's backstory. I remember the Death Star and what happened with that and all of that. And then I'm kind of like, there's like a big blur in there somehow. And if you mention it, I'm probably going to go, oh yeah, or is that it?
And then, well, and the Emperor is now a thing.
Yeah.
You saw him in episode 5 saying the child of Skywalker is still alive. And
Then you found out in 3 who that was Senator Palpatine.
Yeah.
Unlimited power.
And then Luke and Leia, which, funny thing that will be mentioned in this episode that hopefully I'll remember to bring up when it happens. But there's something that happened in episode 3 I didn't notice, but going back and watching it again with you all, I'm like, holy shit, that was a thing. But I'll inform you all on it whenever it happens.
I saw a meme the other day that wasn't really a meme, but like it actually made me wonder if you knew the answer. Why the fuck didn't Obi-Wan remember R2-D2?
Well, that's that's one of the story consistency things that honestly a lot of people are angry about. Is that
I saw that and I was like, yeah, there really isn't a good reason.
No. But in truth, it's one of those weird things that just it's honestly something.
I don't recall ever owning any droids. Like literally said that.
Yes. Well, he never owned R2. Technically, he's correct, but if he feigned ignorance, that's one thing. But R2 would have remembered him because they didn't erase R2's memory. They only erased 3PO's.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That's one of the little plot holes that exists in there for everyone to just be angry over. Anyway, we have Return of the Jedi here. Episode 6, the final episode of Renegade Order. And, well, let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go. 3, 2,
So
1.
excited.
I don't mind it that way. I really don't.
Was that Hayden Christensen?
Yes, it was.
Yep.
Neat.
That was Hayden Christensen.
You know, I don't know what I thought Star Wars was about, but I sure didn't think it was about teddy bears, incest, and redemption. Like,
I can't argue.
I can't really argue with that either, but at the same
like
time...
I did not think that this was going to happen with Darth Vader. I did not think there was incest, and I did not know there was a horde of teddy bears.
Okay, you have to actually ask this question. This is a question that has been plaguing the Star Wars fan base for about 40 years now.
Okay.
Is it really incest if you are unaware of it? And is it also incest unless you boned?
In a realistic world, let's say realistically, this happened. But maybe not like this exactly. But like, let's say that you go into school with someone and you didn't know and you started dating and you kissed and then you take them home and like eventually over a dinner or something you find out that you are distantly related or like related.
According to
I wouldn't say it was incest if it's not intentional and you didn't like... Incest
is apparently sexual relations between people classes being too closely related to marry each other. So there was no sexual relation.
I would say if you did not literally like breed and it was without knowledge, I would not say it was incest.
Can we talk about the rest of the movie? What's your thought?
Well, you see, okay, now that we've covered that and we've cleared that hurdle, Quinn, now that we are officially finished with the good ones. What did you think overall of the Star Wars franchise?
I liked it.
You liked it?
Okay. I didn't like the prequels except for like number 3 was okay, I guess.
Okay.
I liked 6 a hell of a lot more than I thought I would because I haven't seen that in forever.
I really liked 4, 5, 6, and 3 was pretty good. 1 and 2, I probably will never rewatch in my lifetime.
Don't forget Rogue One.
Rogue One was honestly my favorite. It was my first introduction to the series, though.
That's
So,
fair.
like,
They really want a Jen Urso pop.
Well, that's not. Well, there's
no.
nothing wrong with that.
Also, I literally have, like, on my wish list the pop vinyl for Jyn Erso.
Uh huh.
So,
Okay. Well, let's see.
So my fan theory, by the way, is that Jawas are just sand Ewoks.
You know,
They're a little taller, but they're from a different planet. Could be a different, like breed essentially or whatever.
I think that I don't know if I have a reason for this, but I always assumed they were like rat-like under
I'm
there.
kind of nervous that I'm going to end up liking 7, 8, and 9 a lot.
I
I wouldn't worry about
actually
that.
do enjoy them.
Here's the thing: is when I originally watched The Last Jedi, I left the theater being like, "That was pretty cool," and then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, "What the fuck did they do?"
The Last Jedi is probably
Like-
the best one out of them.
No,
that 7?
No, I disagree. The Force Awakens is the best one out of them.
That's 7.
Oh, wait. I got them mixed
The Last
up.
Jedi is the
Episode
fucking god awful
7.
one.
Episode 7 is the best out of
Yeah,
all. out of
That's
the
what I was trying to
Yeah.
say. I got the
episode.
See,
8.
when I saw episode 7, like I walked out and I was like, "That was pretty cool." I'm like interested in what's gonna happen next. And my buddy Chance was like, "That was literally just a copy of episode 4." And I was
and
like,
it is.
"Yeah,
It is.
yeah,
They played
kind of."
it safe.
It was still neat though. They did enough different stuff with it, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Yeah, I guess." And it's like it's a
Well,
little disappointing though,
but-
but we'll see what happens with the next one. We watched the next one. I didn't get to see it with Chance, so I didn't get to talk to him about it afterwards. But I walked out being like, "Not bad, not bad." And then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, "Except for," and
It was definitely my least favorite.
oh god, that was an awful fucking
And
movie.
yeah, when you think
It
about
absolutely
it,
just trashed everything you just seen. Like it just took a giant fucking dump in its ear. Like it's awful.
Now, I guarantee you, for people's first introduction to Star Wars, without any knowledge of this, they thought they were pretty decent films.
Maybe,
but
yeah.
but given how the Star Wars fan base is, which the Star Wars fan base is rabid, if not dedicated.
Passionate is my word
Passionate.
for it. But
Well,
the Star Wars fan base is so passionate. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If these movies had come out the way that they did in this, like, into the 2000s, I don't think they would have been successful. I absolutely don't think they would have
well,
worked.
given the technology they
I have
had,
no
well,
idea.
given how they look, yes. But if they would have done it with the technology that they had at the time, plus the practical effects that they're capable of nowadays,
I don't think that people would have liked jumping in on 3, and I don't think that once 1 came out, I think it'd be fucking downhill from there. They wouldn't even give 3 a chance.
Well, that's the thing.
4.
No. Like, if it came out 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, they'd be like, I don't like how they threw us into this random fucking story and nowhere. Like, everyone's gonna question. No one likes that.
Well,
But-
you see, they were able to get away with a lot more, like a
But
lot more
then-
story leaps back.
But
in the day.
then once they come out with 1, everyone would just, like, be like, okay, so Star Wars is dead, and no one would even get through to 3.
Well, you have to think about this. There's certain ways for them to make these films on the cheap. I mean, hell, one of my favorite, like, sci-fi films ever was made in modern era was made for $25 million, and I love it. Gosh.
Well, God, if only I could have $25 million. That sounds like so much money. What do you mean only?
Oh, well, here's the thing. The
Most
prequel
movie
trilogy-
budgets are like hundreds of millions of dollars nowadays.
You know what the budget for Rise of Skywalker was? The final one, Episode 9?
I don't even want to.
$325 million.
That's pretty low, then, isn't it?
No, $325 million. That's how much money. That is the most money that anyone. Like, okay,
And it
most
sucked?
most expensive.
It had a lot of really cool moments, but as a
Yeah.
whole, you remember me getting irritated a lot by Thing.
It's not as bad as The Last Jedi,
Okay,
No,
but it
So-
had to fucking pick up where Ryan Johnson just like took a giant dump with The Last Jedi and
So-
try to put that back together into something
my
salvageable,
God.
which is almost
yeah.
impossible.
Here we are. Oh, I'm sorry. It was $275 million. So these are the most expensive films of all time.
are you telling me On Stranger Tides was the most expensive film? Period.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
It was
Yep.
a fine movie, but I don't think it
I
earned
haven't-
that much back.
I've only seen At World's End because I went on a date to it.
It wasn't
and I didn't
most
know what it was.
expensive movie of all time. Decent. Like, actually, I think that
How is Age
That's
of
probably my
Ultron
least
more
favorite.
expensive than Endgame and Infinity War?
all three of the
Stranger Tides is the
Tangled
fourth
is
one,
so
right?
expensive.
It's like my least favorite out of them too. That sucks.
Tangled is
Oh
beautiful.
no, yeah, actually, yeah, the Fountain of Youth. That's where they go for the Fountain of
Yeah,
Youth.
that one was like the
Tangled
lamest
is
one.
beautiful though.
No, Tangled is beautiful. $260 million, and it
Wow.
made its money
Surprisingly,
back.
Wow.
that was that expensive.
It made its money back. But Rise of Skywalker here got $275 million. So did Solo, a Star Wars story.
I think the moral of this story is if you're not making an Avengers film, don't fucking try to drop that much money on making a movie.
Because
I know that Pirates is probably one of the lower rated Pirates. At World's End is
Spider-Man
not bad,
3.
but still not one of the higher rated of
No,
them.
and Justice
League is awful.
300.
You know what happened with Solo?
Yeah,
Like, I don't think it was
John
awful,
Carter.
but
This is what tanked.
yeah, John Carter
No
was pretty
interest in that
bad.
movie
Yeah.
whatsoever.
Batman v
scrolling down.
Superman, Dawn of Justice,
Awful.
Spider-Man 3,
The Last Jedi, awful.
Last Jedi, Force
Spider-Man
Awakens.
3 was the only one I didn't even watch because people were like, it's not even worth it.
It's decent. It's not great.
I know Beauty and the Beast ended up being kind of meh from what I heard.
Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
which they weren't quite as good by the end, but still probably made its money
Dead
back.
Men Tell No Tales, Fate of the Fury. That cost $230 million? Suck a dick.
See, I thought Avatar was one of the most expensive, but it's number 19 now.
Well,
I
yeah.
think it was
Keep
at
in
the
mind, it
time.
came out in 2009, and
Yeah.
all of these films, save for Spider-Man 3, is above.
Half-Blood
and,
Prince beat it in the same year. I thought I remembered it
Do
being...
what?
Said Half-Blood Prince beat it in the same year on how much they spent
shit.
on it.
That's wild.
It's interesting.
I
didn't know that at all.
Actually, my dad took me to see Half-Blood Prince. He didn't really know anything about Harry Potter, but I begged him.
So I thought Avatar was really expensive because of the really state-of-the-art 3D that they used on it.
Oh, it was. But you got to keep in mind, James Cameron did a lot of the grunt work himself and kept the budget down. Because if he wanted to, he could have spent $30 million on research and development for the camera system he used.
Spectre, is that the Bond film?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the most expensive Bond
Still
film
haven't
ever.
seen that one.
It's not good.
Oh.
I'm just being honest.
Yeah, Dead Men Tell No Tales I liked a lot.
Yeah. And,
Dead Men's Chest is
There's
the
Rogue
second
One.
best one.
yeah, Lone Ranger. Oh, God. Man of Steel, Avengers.
So they just
Rogue
gradually
One.
went up with their budget on every Pirates film, it looks like.
Yeah, except this is the fourth one, and then it went back down.
Oh,
to
yeah, okay.
230.
Right,
Uh,
honestly, it went back up in quality for that much, too, though.
well, yeah, it's because they actually had a pretty good director. And all of these films here are $200 million or more. Good God. So many films. It just goes to show you the amount of
Can't
money.
believe they spent that much on Hobbs and Shaw when it was
If
a
I had
fucking
like $1 million,
spin-off film.
I'd be set for life, and they're dumping like 300 into shitty movies.
Yes. Quinn,
Welcome
the
to Hollywood.
World of Hollywood. Because they can't help themselves but spend ridiculous amounts of money on films
I think I'd be
that are
set
shit.
for life with
Like,
like $10
I'm gonna go
million.
knock on the doors in Hollywood and ask for like $100,000. They'll probably just throw it at me so they don't have to call the cops, because it seems like they just throw money for convenience sake if they're spending that much money.
Yes.
You'd be
Pretty
surprised,
much.
like if you read the credits to a movie, if you see how many people get a paycheck for every
That's
movie.
true as well.
But how much do you get paid if you're a fucking like
Oh, handsomely.
one-liner? Like,
Handsomely. If, like, you can ask Jacob. Jacob right now is working on a meager production. He's getting paid for 3 days of work.
Did he
And-
tell you who he's working with?
Yes.
Yeah.
I told Quinn.
I don't think we're allowed to say this.
No, we're not. It's he's under NDA. But let's just say it's some people from a film we may have watched in the past.
Nate, just
Okay, I'll nix it there.
Yeah.
I'll nix it there. I was willing to go.
I would
willing to go
actually
further.
clap and have Wolf edit this that we even said that because that tells
Sorry,
people
guys.
that he broke the NDAs. So.
Yeah, well, no, we
So
actually.
please edit that out, Wolf. All of that.
Fucking hell.
well, not all of it, but like leave them hanging.
Yeah, yeah.
Just don't edit it to the point where people can't tell that we just said that someone did something they weren't supposed to. Please.
Yeah.
I would appreciate it.
Yeah, because I don't want to get Jake in trouble.
You don't
when I
want.
think about it.
I feel like even that could be narrowed down. So,
But anyway, guys, the whole thing with this franchise is that we had the highs in the original trilogy. The prequels brought it down, and then the quality went back up for Force Awakens, but the story and narrative choices that they took in Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, to me, kind of lowered it down below even the prequels.
I disagree. But that's where I'm at.
If you want to hear my opinion on 7, 8, and 9, maybe you should watch the intro to the Mandalorian ones that are coming.
Oh, that's
because
right.
That's where that'll be. Because I'm not going to make my own video where I have to sit and talk by myself.
Fair enough.
But before we close anything out, the reason Machete Order exists, why we did this, in 5, and Lukas starting to kind of become an actual whole Jedi to himself. So... And one of the closing scenes is the Emperor being like, dog, we need this kid on our side doing awesome dark Jedi things. So we go back to the prequels to revisit Anakin's journey through being a Jedi and then not being a good Jedi and then being just the worst. So that when you're going into 6 and he's really trying to convince Luke to come over to his side, you actually get some of the gravitas of... This is how bad it can go if a Jedi goes dark.
Yeah. And I do feel like I had that, like, dread in my heart when I didn't know what he was going to do of, like, this shit's going to go bad fast if he does it. Like...
And he did, and it went horrible in Episode 3. I mean, Jesus.
And so, as I'm watching 6, though, I realize, like, oh shit, this could possibly be terrible. Like, this movie might just end on a fucking shitstorm.
I just saw this, and this blows me away. The Hobbit trilogy, which was filmed all 3 back-to-back, cost all 3 together $623 million.
Not so bad for considering it's split between them.
But that's one film production tying up $623 million.
Man, they really banked a lot on that all at once.
Yeah, and... I wonder how much it made back.
Notice that Deathly Hallows only had 125 each.
Yes.
They made it back.
Well, it's because they filmed them back to back. They were able to do that. So it made almost $3 billion off of a $745 million budget. God,
Can you scroll back down to the table of contents on there? What is it talking about? Del Toro's.
Oh, Del Toro was actually
Interpretation.
going to direct The Hobbit. But then, because the studio had cold feet about him, because none of his films were like big hits, they pretty much said no. But thankfully, they did keep parts of his script.
You don't have to have him direct things. Just have him on the concept art team.
Right?
Oh, no, he was. He was on the concept art for a lot of stuff. It's just when they told Peter Jackson to take over, they said, all right, we want you to restart from square one. And he's just like, guys, Del Toro already did all this work. And they're like, we don't care.
He has the coolest monsters, and there's some of his directing I do like. Like, you can go watch the scene with the Tooth Fairies in Hellboy 12 times and find different weird stuff going on in the background.
Well, no, Del Toro's one of my favorite directors ever.
Same.
I mean, he's there's 3 big directors that came from Mexico around the same time. The 3 amigos. There's him, Alfonso Cuarón, who strangely enough directed Prisoner of Azkaban, which was my favorite Harry Potter film until Deathly Hallows, and then Alejandro González Iñárritu, who actually directed the Birdman film and also The Revenant with Leonardo DiCaprio, which actually won Leo his first Oscar.
Now I'm sad again.
Why is that?
Why would we bring up Del Toro and get sad? Okay, so when it was announced originally, I was fucking screaming because I'm like, Kojima's making a Silent Hill game! Del Toro's making the creatures! Holy fuck! This is gonna be the best thing ever! Fuck you, Konami! Fuck you!
I'm just
Once
watching the mic go out.
Yeah, you peaked it there a little bit.
Sorry,
no,
Wolf.
not a little bit.
No, it's okay. Honestly, it's fine.
I'm sure he saw it coming.
There are very few things in this world
see the veins coming out of his
that
forehead.
I'm that upset about, and that's one of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Which,
Fuck Konami
well,
entirely.
Nick, I have a little bit of light news.
They're making a horror game, but it isn't a Silent Hill game.
No. Some of the
I didn't
heads
know
at
that.
Konami who fired Kojima are no longer there. And they're talking about having Kojima come back and making this a Sony exclusive, potentially. I'm not saying there's anything concrete.
I have a decent feeling he's gonna tell them to go fuck themselves,
I know,
though.
that's what,
Okay.
I'm anticipating.
It's toasty in here. I'm gonna head outside.
Okay, all right.
All right.
Well,
Wait,
we'll go ahead and end the recording.
I read The Hobbit recently.
Oh yeah.
I did.
So,
It is good
all right,
book,
ladies
yeah?
and gentlemen, we're going to have to end this recording here. So
How is that a trilogy?
because the studio demanded it.
Basically.
I feel like those movies are so fucking boring.
Some of them, yes. But
And every cool thing I mentioned from the book, I'm like, hey, Kinsey, what about this part where blah, blah, blah? And they're like, that's not in the movies. I haven't read the book. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what about... And they're like, no, that's not in the movies. I'm like, what's in the fucking movies?
everything from like the Silmarillion that the studio wanted to include, that Peter Jackson pretty much had to pull in just to make it a coherent film in some ways. And if they would have just left him alone and just said, hey, let's do all this.
There is still some pretty cool stuff in it, though.
Oh, no. It's just what it could have been, Nick. What it could have been if they would have just let Del Toro and Jackson have their way, it would have been 2 films, and it would have done nothing but the shit from The Hobbit. It would have been as unabridged as it possibly could have been. But yet, studio has to step in and
there
swing
was
their dick
definitely
around.
enough there for movies.
Huh?
There was definitely enough there for movies.
Yeah, at least 2. And the thing is, they wanted that. They wanted to do only 2 films, but then the studio's just like, no, we want 3 because trilogies. It's stupid.
I got
know.
really invested in the book as I was reading it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good fiction. It's probably one of the cornerstones of high fantasy.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, we're gonna end this before Kinsey has a heat stroke, and we're going to say this. Thank you all very much for tuning in, and if you want to tune in sometime soon, we will probably be doing The Mandalorian. I don't know if it'll be released the same day as we're doing this, but it will definitely be on the channel. So
This
you
is
can
the
stay
way.
tuned for that. Huh?
This is the way.
Yes, it is. So, until next time, everybody, signing off for the last time for the Renegade Order of the Star Wars franchise, I'm Nate.
Still Kinsey.
Quinn?
Quincy?
Sure.
Quincy?
We get called Quincy a lot right now.
Yeah, at work. Yeah.
I'm Nick. May the Force be with you. Always.
Gotta be cheesy, huh?